Hello and welcome to Planning Preview for the month of December. My name is Jason Bieber with the Planning Office at the City of Sioux Falls, and it may look a little different this month. We're actually shooting outside of the studio. Lots of work being done in there, a new revamped studio that you'll get a little preview of next month, so it'll be great. So we're kind of going back to our roots. This is actually where we used to shoot Planning Preview probably 10 to 15 years ago. So kind of a little different setup, but we're excited to be out here and still be able to provide you with the information that's on Planning Commission. And joining me is Karla with the Planning Office as always.
I'm still here.
Well, let's get started. We actually have a pretty big agenda for December, considering usually it kind of slows down a little bit, but some exciting stuff on it. So let's get started.
Not this month. Let's do it.
All right. So first one here, we've got a rezoned. It looks like this is some land that's going from agricultural to kind of zoned and being ready for development out there on 85th and Tallgrass area, kind of south of that, south of the Tallgrass treatment. But it looks like we're going to get the whole plethora of zoning. We got single family, twin homes, apartments, industrial uses out there. So, and the preliminary subdivision plan will be going along. So talk a little bit about that one.
I think this captures the intent of the comprehensive plan to transition appropriately, where you have the heavy industrial uses at the intersection where there's all the traffic, and then it'll transition to something of less intensity like the live work, and then the townhome, twin homes, and then directly adjacent to the existing single family will be also single family. So I think this will be a good addition for the area.
Yeah, and this will, if people, just a little bit more of an idea where this is, so there's the existing industrial development that's outside of city limits to the west of Tallgrass. Right. And so the proposed industrial will kind of be on the east to kind of be able to fit in with that. And you did a great job of talking about how it's going to transition to residential and the existing residential, so really works well.
I think paired with Veterans Parkway, it'll come in together and really work well.
Yeah, good. That's great. So starting to get some of that development in preparation for Veterans Parkway to come through, so that's great. Next one we have here is, it looks like this is an RD1 twin home to C2. I think this is a little bit of cleanup, but this would be the southeast corner of Western and 26th Street, correct?
Right, so no exterior work to be done. It's just a little bit of the parking lot is zoned residential, and it should all be the same. So we're just having them clean that up, and then it'll host the veterans offices.
Yep, so that'll be good. It's like Karla did a good job of saying, just nothing changing there, just kind of cleaning it up to get that one parcel all commercial. So yeah, great. Next we've got, it looks like some single family to office district. I know this one's on 33rd Street, I think in Western, correct?
Yes, so this is a little bit of a change from what you may have previously heard. It's just the parking lot, again, is another cleanup, is zoned for residential, but it's going to be a part of the office development. So we just want to clean that up so we have one zone on one parcel, which is what good strategic planning tells us to do.
And this parking lot that we're zoning has kind of been used for the office building in the past, so it's not really like we're trying to change something.
Right.
So, yep, great. Sounds like a good one. And then we've got some conservation to single family. This is kind of out on 85th Street, kind of west of the Walmart in that residential development, correct?
Yeah, so in their backyard there used to be a drainage area, and some of it isn't being used for drainage purposes, so the private property owner purchased it from the developer and is now just going to add that to their lot. Great.
Next one we've got here, this is kind of the big one that we've been talking about probably for 6 months or so. So this would be the rezoning and then the preliminary plan for Rice Street and Veterans Parkway for the data center that we've been hearing about. So that's going to go to I-1 Light Industrial for a future data center out there, correct?
Right, so this is step 2 and 3 in the development process. They were annexed in, and then, well, first they had their future land use amendment, and then they were annexed in, and now they've identified what their zonings are going to be and how the infrastructure is going to work out there. So this will give us a good time to get together and discuss what that will look like.
And I think it's what you guys are working on, you and the other planner in our office, with the actual staff reports is great, is we don't know exactly what kind of data center is going out there or if this applicant is actually going to build the data center. So what you guys have worked on is putting some conditions on the rezoning to require additional setbacks and buffering and lots of landscaping along the corridor, not only to protect the way the data center is going to look in Rice Street, but also along 6 Mile to protect Brandon's future residential on the east side of 6 Mile. So it's going to be a great way to kind of protect that and put those conditions in the rezoning.
That's exactly right. And then to the south, our future land use map calls that out as potentially residential. So we want to be sure that there's that separation as well. So that'll also have the 45-foot buffer yard with the landscaping and the trees.
Yeah, and I think overall, once this gets developed with those conditions, it's going to look pretty nice out there, actually.
I think so.
Yep. And then one of the other big things I want to make people aware of is the very western portion of Veterans Parkway. That's going to be conservation or stay ag, right? To be able to protect Veterans Parkway corridor. Right.
So you can't build anything there with that ag classification is what that boils down to.
It's been good working with the applicant on that aspect of it. Next, we've got some live work going to C2. This looks like 57th and Dubuque. I think this is for kind of a strip center here.
Yep, so different commercial areas outside of those commercial nodes. So we'll have a neighborhood meeting and see how that goes.
Yeah, I know typically we talked a little bit about it, but it's outside the node. So typically staff hasn't supported those type of changes. But like you said, let's talk with the neighbors and see if it's something maybe they feel like they can fit into kind of their neighborhood commercial or neighborhood area and see what they think of that.
Right, yeah, it's important to definitely show up and voice your opinions at these stages.
Yep. Next, we've got, it looks like we're going to have back-to-back conditional use permits for kennels, which we have once every 10 years, but now we have 2 on the same month, so that's kind of funny. A little bit different areas, so let's talk about the first one. This one's on Minnesota Avenue, but a little bit closer to residential since Minnesota backs up to residential along Spring there. So talk a little bit about this one.
So a little bit of a smaller parcel directly adjacent to Minnesota and 28th Street with the residential less than 1,000 feet. So that's why they need their conditional use permit. So we're having a neighborhood meeting actually tonight, and we'll see what the neighborhood kind of has to say and where we can find some common ground and support for this area.
Yep, and that's great. And then we transition into another kennel, but this one's up more in an industrial area, up by south of the Denny Sanford Premier Center and kind of those existing industrial properties.
Right, a little bit larger of a parcel, so more space, and then there's the apartment complex to the east that we just want to be sure that the neighborhood is okay with. So they'll be communicating kind of behind the scenes to make sure that they're all aligned and know what's going next door.
And I think that's great. That's a great distinction that we talked about the Minnesota Avenue one being closer to single family. So, hey, you need to have a neighborhood meeting to talk to these people. The one that's more in the industrial area that's next to apartments, hey, there's nothing else there besides those apartments. Reach out to the apartment owners, see what their thoughts are on it. But there's no need for a neighborhood meeting with other industrial uses, right? So
I like to say we're a little bit flexible.
That's great. So yeah, that's kind of the end of it. But like I said, we got quite a few things on the agenda this month. So.
It'll be a good meeting on December.
Great. And stay tuned. After the break, we're going to have Shannon Ausen with engineering to talk about road projects that are going to be somewhat completed this year and some that are going to be moving on to next year, and then also some future road projects. So stay tuned.
Hi, my name is Brent, and I'm a housing specialist for the city of Sioux Falls, and I'm out here with Kelly, property maintenance manager for the city. We're out here on this snowy day, and we're here to talk about sidewalks. So Kelly, why do we need to clean the sidewalks?
Well, many people use the sidewalks for transportation, kids getting to school. You know, some people, elderly, disabled, or for whatever reason, they go to the grocery stores or to work, they need a safe place to travel as well.
So we use about 2 feet of space. Do we only need to scoop a path, or do we have to go side to side?
Go the entire width of the sidewalk, edge to edge, and that way it's, ADA accessible for those in wheelchairs.
Okay. Today, I don't know if we're going to get 2 inches of snow, but do we have to wait till 2 inches, or do you have to start scooping right away?
No, you have to clear your sidewalk after any snow or ice event, and that's, within 48 hours after that event, we need that cleared off.
Well, thanks, Kelly. Well, if you're out scooping your snow and you see that your neighbor's house needs sidewalks scooped as well, do the neighborly thing and help your neighbor out.
If you'd like to see if one of our city programs can help you out, call 367-8180 or check us out online at siouxfalls.org.
Welcome back to Planning Preview for the month of December. Joining me now is our special guest that we love to have on like once or twice a year to talk about road projects that are going to be maybe completed and some maybe that'll have to run into next year. So Shannon Ausen with Public Works is here.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to come back and talk to you guys. Unfortunately, there's a lot of projects that won't be complete this year.
And we can talk about some of those because I know you've done so many big projects this year and ones that maybe make people a little mad to start, but once they're completed, I always think of people that get mad about, hey, I can't get here or there, and I always think about 26th Street in Southeastern, what a pain that was, and now how nice it is, right?
Don't even remember how painful it was.
So let's talk a little bit about some. So we're going to kind of just go around, and then maybe you can tell us some that I'm missing or some anticipated ones for next year. So I think the big one you're working on, and now I believe Veterans Parkway North and South is open, but that'd be Veterans Parkway and Arrowhead Parkway.
Yeah, so that project, of course, was the biggest one that we've had on the east side. It's a project that has caused a lot of angst with our entire east side. That project, Arrowhead Parkway will be open to traffic by late November. And so we can enjoy going through that intersection now east-west, one lane in each direction. But then, unfortunately, come spring of 2026, we'll be closing it down again and doing some more work on that east side of Veterans Parkway. And what our plan is we paved asphalt, which is the black asphalt on Arrowhead Parkway right at the intersection, to allow it to settle over the winter. And so it's a temporary surface, and so our plan is to come back then in 2026 and then pave that as concrete. So once we get that paved on the east side, there'll be a closure of about 30 to 35 days. Once we get that done in early, hopefully April, the snow is gone, then we'll flip by May over to the west leg, which is in front of like the Dolly Farm Village as well as Menards. That west leg will be closed then for the majority of the summer. So people will be able to still go north and south on Veterans, and they'll now be able to go to the east on the new pavement of Arrowhead, but you won't be able to go from Veterans Parkway to the west.
So you'll kind of have to use then 26, and now that you guys have paved 6th Street, that's kind of a big deal where people can kind of use that as maybe a bypass to get over to Foss to go south then, right?
Yep. And
so that's nice.
Yeah, and so we're excited to have that 6th Street open. You know, certainly it does go through a neighborhood as it travels closer to Sycamore. So we want to make sure those folks, you know, travel the speed limit and be aware that they are more of a collector street versus an arterial. 6th Street's a collector street. So just, you know, be cautious of what's going on out there.
And then one of the great things I think is, because sometimes maybe you guys get dinged a little bit for just large streets and not providing pedestrian accesses and stuff, but you guys have spent significant money over there in Arrowhead and Veterans to do those underpasses for pedestrians to get safe across there, because correct me if I'm wrong, this is going to be the biggest intersection in the state, is that correct?
Yes,
with number of lanes?
Correct. So once it actually gets full, as far as capacity goes, as well as opening, it'll still be very large, just like 41st and Louise, but we will have one additional lane in each direction versus 41st and Louise, so it definitely will be very large. But to your point on the pedestrian and bike underpasses, there'll be 3, the north, east, and south legs. And so with the traffic signalized intersections, we heard from a lot of our vulnerable users that they didn't want to cross that many lanes, and so that's why we have those underpasses. And probably maybe our viewers don't know, but we have a pedestrian underpass every mile along the entire corridor from Veterans Parkway, from I-90 all the way down to Interstate 29. So every mile or 2 miles, we have those pedestrian underpasses that allow people to go underneath the corridor versus crossing at grade. So that's something that we really wanted to enhance along the entire corridor.
Yeah, and you just put that bike trail under the one just south of 26th Street.
Right, so and it is open to traffic. I used it actually the other day. My family, we went to the new restaurant at 26th and Veterans Parkway, and so I hope that it's good for the residential folks that are currently adjacent to that intersection.
So then, fingers crossed, it should be completed by the end of 2026.
Yeah, so engineers, we never want to say fully complete. We will say substantially complete, open to traffic.
Okay.
But then in 27, we could come back with some lane closures, just to improve on maybe the landscaping.
Yeah.
So there, on a side note though, there will be a lot of extra work going on Veterans Parkway next year, much like there was this past summer where we had some concrete work going on. From Arrowhead down to 26th Street. We're going to continue marching to the south from 26th Street down to about 49th Street or 57th Street, and we're going to do some more concrete work. So there'll be still lane closures. And then as a reminder, we do have a project that we put on our southveteransparkway.com website that we're going to improve the traffic signals. We're going to change out traffic signal heads and only allow left turns, double left turns with a green arrow, not a free turn movements like they're doing today. And then we're also going to change and upgrade our striping to allow full 3 lanes on Veterans Parkway. So we're opening up everything from I-90 down to 57th Street as 3 lanes in each direction by the end of next year. So that'll really be a traffic pattern change. So once we get Arrowhead and Veterans open in late 2026, early 27, we're going to be done for a while. So we all can just keep driving on Veterans Parkway and Arrowhead without any orange cones.
To 57th Street, and then let's stay on Veterans Parkway, because I think the big thing that I noticed of how far you guys have come is from Cliff over to Sycamore now, and you've got the bridge goes over the railroad tracks there, which is going to be great to have another bridge over the railroad tracks. But that one, then, that's on schedule for that section to be completed next year, right? You'll
Correct.
start paving next year with that?
Yep, so then that'll bring pavement all the way through Sycamore, and then it'll bring 2 lanes down on Sycamore asphalt, and then a concrete section on Southeastern by the Harrisburg schools. And then currently, we're in the final stages of getting ready for bidding the next phase then, which would be Sycamore up to 57th Street. So then we leave Sycamore and we start to curve up and go to the north and connect back into 57th Street. So we're hopeful to get that bid early 2026, and then that'll be under construction 26 and 27. And then the last phase, which is from I-29 over to Western, we hope to get that bid maybe end of 26, so that'll be 27 and 28. So we're certainly marching down the corridor.
So when that's complete then in 28, hopefully you guys acquire all the right of way and stuff. How many vehicles are you predicting to be on that south section of Veterans Parkway?
So the south section certainly will grow into it, just much like the north section. So when we first opened up the northern section, we had that 4,000 to 6,000 cars instantly. And now we're up to that 15,000 on the north section, and then of course by Arrowhead we're higher to that 20,000. On that south leg, we're going to open up probably 8,000, and then as development continues to go south and Harrisburg continues to go north, we'll end up still in that 20 to 30,000 on that south leg. It'll be a little longer on the south leg just because it doesn't have the sanitary sewer as the east side.
As we continue to kind of grow once we get that in. So great. So let's talk a little bit about 85th Street interchange. That's going to be started next year, correct?
Yeah, actually the project is bid. They are moving some dirt out there right now. Not a whole lot of dirt will be moved yet this year, but we will be fully under construction probably in April, again, whenever the snow melts. For the entire 26 and then also in 27. And so that'll be a diverging diamond similar to what 41st Street and Interstate 29 are, just not as many lanes. But we have underpass, a pedestrian and bike underpass on that on the east side, and we worked very closely with the City of T. Their growth areas on the west side of the interstate, south of 85th Street. And then also Lincoln County Department of Transportation. We've really worked as a collaborative effort to get that interchange constructed.
Yeah, and I hadn't been down there, 85th Street West, that was constructed with the roundabout there.
Yeah.
That looks really nice. And then T did a really good job of kind of their entrance into their city going south, did a really good job with that. I didn't know that was completed until last week. It looks really nice.
Yeah, so that was a joint project between the City of Sioux Falls and the City of T. So we worked together on that, and I think it looks great.
I agree. Yeah, that's great to work with those other municipalities on that. So what other major projects will be finishing up that will help us get going?
Well, so finishing up next year would be the end of 26 would be the Clifton 229 in that south part of the city. We will certainly be under construction all next year. Again, that'll be done in the end of 26. And this fall and winter, though, they will be moving the temporary bridge that's currently at Cliff and 229 over to Minnesota. So that'll certainly change the appearance down there. The Cliff Avenue and 229 interchange will be open to traffic, much like Arrowhead would be at the end of November. So then all of the orange barrels will be taken off. But there's still going to be some unique traffic movements, so we just got to make sure people are aware and drive slowly through the area. We've heard a lot of positive comments from Lincoln High School on the pedestrian underpasses under the ramps. Lots of positive comments on that. So I'm excited to see how well that gets used.
But you won't, next year Cliff will be open going north and south. That won't get completely closed down anymore?
No, the plan is to still close Cliff to the south of the interchange periodically, just because we have to reconstruct that portion of Cliff. So there will still be some pains, but for the most part, the majority of the construction to the north of the interstate will be open. So that'll be great.
And then once that gets, like you said, you're moving the temporary bridge over to Minnesota. And when does that project start then?
So that project is planned for 27 and 28. So they'll have that temporary bridge, and those limits start by Yankton Trail Park entrance and then go all the way up to between 40th and 39th Street. So including the 41st and Minnesota intersection. So that'll be a painful project also, but. Different on Minnesota than we were on Cliff. We're going to keep it open to traffic.
Okay.
Because we just have to be able to have one lane in each direction for the businesses. But then we do have, for those commuters, they can use Cliff. And so that'll be fully open.
And then I know that's going to be a pain till 27, 28, but I think the great thing with that is you've talked about once that's completed, then you can actually get 49th Street completed, right?
Yes,
that you've been
absolutely.
working on for
a
what,
long
20
time.
years?
Yes. Well, and a lot of people don't realize that the 229 corridor was constructed, in 1958, 59, 1960. And so those interchanges, are geometrically deficient now. And so we need to start it. We started with 26th Street and Southeastern, as you talked about. And so we have to make these improvements to these outdated interchanges. And so once we get done with, we've done 26th Street, we're going to do Cliff, Minnesota, we made improvements on Western, we have Louise is new. Our next one is 10th Street, and then the next one after that is Rice. So we'll be on 229 for a while, but those remaining ones won't happen probably for the next 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, that'll be great to get that finished.
Yes.
Pain now, but like I said, just like 26th Street,
yes.
You couldn't imagine it was before you did the changes to
it. It is.
How it would work.
It's awesome, and we've heard a lot of positive feedback on that.
So real quick, we got a little bit of time left. So those projects that you just talked about, is there any other big ones that are on slate for next year, or that pretty much take us to where we are?
So we'll be under construction, of course, Arrowhead and Veterans on Cliff, and then another new one that will be under construction next year will be Minnesota Avenue from 2nd Street down the hill to 7th. So that will be also a painful project. We will maintain one lane in each direction, but that is upsizing all of the sanitary sewer and water main underneath the surface, and then just adding the pedestrian enhancements as well as some trees along the corridor, because we love our trees.
We love our trees.
Yes, and so that'll happen all year, and then up on the north and west part of the city, which isn't going to really impact a lot of people except for our Foundation Park folks. We're going to build an overpass, the Burlington Northern Overpass on Marion Road. And so that'll be bid shortly after the first of the year, and that'll be a 2-year project also. And just much like on the South Veterans Parkway, Burlington Northern Overpass, we like to build those embankments, the first year, and then let them sit so they can settle out, and then come back the following year and build those bridges. And so that Marion Road will be a 2-lane or 2-year project also. The detour route is Memory Lane over to 259th. So there is a nice detour for that one, but that'll be so nice when it's done for those businesses up Industrial Park area.
Yeah, I'll be able to get the semis to go north and get right to the interstate.
Yep.
That was another joint project between us and then the county that did the north portion over the bridge. So
exactly.
That is absolutely going to be another great one. So great projects. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll probably have to have you back in the spring to talk a little bit about construction season coming up. But thanks so much for coming on the plan.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, anytime. And thanks for joining us for Planning Preview for the month of December. The Planning Commission meeting this month is Wednesday, December 3rd at 6 o'clock at the Carnegie Town Hall. And as always, we allow public input in any of the items that we talked about tonight. And also there is that 5-minute comment period at the end of the agenda to talk anything planning related. So thanks, Sioux Falls, and have a great day.